Hello, everyone. This is Dean Vaughn from the Dean Vaughn Music Podcast Show. How you doing? I will be talking to my longtime friend, the legendary bass player Timothy Gaines. Tim and I met in Hollywood in 1979 down on the Strip at Gazzarri's. We were both playing in different bands at the time. I believe I was in Aftershock and Tim was in White Lace. Anyway, Tim went on to play with the big rock group Stryper. Gaines has contributed to over 17 albums with the group Stryper, including live performances and studio albums. I think one of the albums was Soldiers Under Command. That one went gold, and To Hell with the Devil went platinum. Tim went on to play with other rock legends such as Aldo Nova, Richard Marx, and is now recording his new solo album. Let's bring Tim in and see what he's up to now. Yeah, but man, I listened to that whole thing. It's mostly instrumental, right? I didn't hear any...
It's all instrumental, yeah.
Yeah. And that's you, man. You know, I always talk about No Stranger people because, you know, that was my best experience in a rock band. And
that was a great band.
That was an awesome band. Tom Hardy.
Yep.
Joe.
Tom's great. Joe.
And you played with Tom Hardy in Stormer.
Yeah. So Stormer.
Did you play with him in any other bands or just Stormer?
Just Stormer. And then us, of course, when we got back together and when did we get together? 93?
I think it was 93. You were out of Stryper for a bit.
Yeah.
And then you went back. I think you went back on tour, didn't you, with Stryper?
Yeah, 90, let's see. I didn't go back out with them until 2000. So yeah, we did our thing from, I don't know, 93, 94. And we made some really great music.
I was listening to
No Stranger.
No Stranger. Tom sent me all of the songs last night. We've been talking, and it kind of fell apart. He was gonna chime in on this podcast.
Oh, great.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping he still does.
Okay.
But he had something to do for a couple hours, and he's about 3 hours difference. You know, he's in Ohio, right?
Oh, really? No,
He's in Perry, Ohio, I believe it is. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing in Perry, Ohio, man? You know. And he showed me his house, picture of his house. And I go, could you send me a fresh copies of the No Stranger album? Because I have I had a cassette converted over.
Yeah, that's what I had, that I converted to a CD.
You did?
Yeah, I had cassette only.
Yeah, so Tom has the actual MP3s, which I'll send to you if you want them.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know where he got them, but they're clean. They're like right out of the studio.
Awesome.
He must have got them from the tape. So I was talking to him. I go, man, wouldn't it be cool to surprise Timmy? We won't tell him. You just call in.
Well, that'd be great.
The reason I'm telling you is because
he said... in a few years. It's been a while.
Yeah, when is the last time you talked to Tom? And Joe? And anyone else?
I haven't talked to Joe in ages, but Tom we kind of kept up for a while on Facebook. And I haven't talked to Joe. Gosh, it's been a long time.
It's been a while. He's in Washington, right, Joe?
Joe, yeah, and I think he was doing music with his wife.
Right.
They were doing. I think they lived out on an island somewhere.
Right. I saw him playing it like a park, or it looked like a county fair or something.
Yeah. Jeannie Cribbs. That was her name.
That's right. Man, you know, all this talk about No Stranger. You know, Tom sent me "Here I Am Again," and it was a song we recorded. No Stranger. We spent a year in the recording studio, and I'm going to go ahead and play that right now for you. It's been a long time, and Timmy's playing bass. I'm on keyboards, and played a beautiful grand piano on this, and Tom Hardy on lead vocals, with Joe Reggitori on guitar, and Billy Green on the drums. Man, that was awesome. That was Here I Am Again by No Stranger. Now we're back live again with Mr. Timothy Gaines. So you're a tech geek. So I'm recording you right now on Pro Tools.
Okay.
I'm being recorded on. I keep forgetting I'm recording Pro Tools. That's my Mac.
Right.
And then over here, I've got the IBM, and I don't do any recording on that. I just do it all on the Mac.
Yeah, I do all my. I have a separate Mac that I use just for recording. I don't even have it hooked up to the internet because.
Yeah, this one's off.
In fact, I'm on a new laptop, a new MacBook Pro, because my old one just it updated so much, and I still have a lot of room on the hard drive, but it just slowed down so much from the new upgrades that I couldn't use it anymore.
What are you using? Are you recording at home?
Yeah, I record at home with. I have an iMac. That's it's got all the memory upgraded, and it's got a terabyte of hard drive space. And but I do bass tracks. That's what I've been doing from home.
Okay.
And I was doing that when I lived in Nashville. I'm now in Phoenix, but I started doing that just to make extra income on the side because people were asking me to play on their albums, and of course the internet has made that available to everybody now, so we don't have to leave the house. We can just record at home, and we've done a lot of records that way, and I've done two this last week where I've I think one guy was in Florida, and I have no idea where the other guy was at. But
that's pretty cool. So you're doing the bass tracks remotely?
Yeah,
and just sending in the MIDI or straight bass tracks?
They send me their tracks. It's great if I can get a whole session, downloaded into my computer, and so. But WAV files, and we send them, dump everything and into the computer, and I record a bass track, lots of bass tracks, and pick and choose which sounds the best and tweak them.
So they pick the ones they like the best, so you're able to throw them up.
Well, I pick the one I like the best, and I send it off to them. But
gotcha.
Sometimes I'll give them, several tracks to choose from, and they want to comp certain parts that I did. If I did different bass tracks, different part in a song, and they want it, they can put it in there. If not, some guys don't know what they're doing at all. It's like just play bass and we're good. And other guys, they got a producer that can cut and paste and do all that stuff. So
right, it's nice working with experience or somebody who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
You just do your bass lines, throw it in, you know it's going to come out right.
Yeah. So I've been doing that
cool.
for I did that with some Aldo Nova. I was working with Aldo for a while there.
And how was that?
That was great. It's great. He's a great guy. We did a lot of recording because of COVID. We were supposed to do some touring, and then COVID hit, and then kind of canceled the tour that we had for 2020. What year is this? 22, almost in 20.
Time flies.
So anyways, it got to the point where, he's just like, getting frustrated. We can't go out on the road. So we started doing these recordings and just doing like live video, or some of it was dubbed in, some of it was live. But
gotcha. Now Aldo's had a few albums. He's had a couple hits, right? He had that one big hit.
Aldo's had a couple.
Yeah. Did you do anything?
Aldo's had a ton of hits, man. Yeah.
I know. I just us, people out here, we hear one or two on the radio.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's done a hell of a lot.
You always hear, Monkey or whatever, Monkey on Your Back or
Monkey on Your Back, yeah. But how is he to work with? Pretty nice guy, good guitar player, good singer.
The guy is great.
Yeah.
He's awesome songwriter, guitar player. I had no idea what kind of a guitar player he was. He's just this tasty, the kind of guitar player I like, just just a real tasty, bluesy rocker, excellent guitar player. So,
well, you've always been fortunate to play with excellent musicians like Joe Reggiatore of The Stranger. He was a great guitar player.
Yeah, he is.
And you've been surrounded by a lot of talent, probably your entire life.
Yeah, we've been around a lot of good people, and fortunate.
Remember Gazzarri's? You were in White Lace, and now I was looking at another interview you did with some guys from. They look like they might have been from your church group or something out there. Nice guys. 312, Rock 312.
Yeah. Yep.
And you were talking. Man, you went pretty in depth on your personal life on that interview. But you were talking about Afton Kid.
Yeah, you remember Afton Kid?
I vaguely do, but for some reason I'm drawing a blank, and I just remember White Lace. So Afton Kid was playing.
And that came afterwards. So Afton Kid was my first original rock band that I was in. And I was just a kid, and these guys were, good 5 to 10 years older than me. So
they were the Aftons, and you were the kid.
I was. Well, I was 15. I'd been playing bass a couple of years, and my bass teacher, I took bass lessons at a place called Arcadia Music Mart in Arcadia, California.
I think I remember that place.
And I was on Huntington Drive, and anyways, I had one of my first jobs working there, and so my bass teacher Lance knew of a band that needed a bass player, and he thought that I would be good for it. And these guys were older, and so that was my first experience playing with a original rock group.
And were they heavy rock? I'm trying to remember.
No, we were more of a, I don't know, I guess we called ourselves power pop.
Power pop. I like that.
We did cover tunes and we did originals, but it was rock music. It wasn't hard rock. It was just good songs. And
kind of progressive, because you're kind of a progressive bass player to me anyway.
Yeah, we were doing stuff, like Ziggy Stardust and Tom Petty songs and stuff in that kind of vein. It wasn't progressive. It was just rock music. Stuff that was going on. This would have been like 78, 79.
Yeah, because I got in Aftershock in 1979. So that's why I'm thinking you were ahead of me in the rock and roll game. You were playing before I was.
We're probably doing it around the same time. I don't know. I started playing when I was started playing bass when I was 13. I had an acoustic guitar, classical guitar, and I was taking guitar lessons, and I really liked the bass. I don't know why. So I was always gravitating towards the bass, and so I took the two top strings off my guitar. That was my first bass for about a year.
I can see you doing that too. Screw these two strings. I don't need them.
So I'm like playing bass parts to Elton John songs and stuff like that. That's what I wanted to be a piano player.
Well, you are a piano player.
I haven't played in years, but
I heard you play.
I always found I was playing the bass parts, the left hand.
The left hand. Yeah.
Elton's bass player was Dee Murray, and so I started playing bass. I picked up guitar, and I was like gravitating towards the bass. And I had some friends whose brothers were in a band, and the one guy was a bass player, and I'm like, oh man, this is just the coolest instrument. So I picked up.
Bass is pretty cool.
And then
you got a lot of freedom to do what you want.
Yeah. So my 14th birthday, my mom saw that I was really into playing the bass, and then I was showing a lot of interest. So she bought me my first bass for my 14th birthday.
What kind of bass was it?
It was a Orlando, which is just this Japanese 3/4 scale P bass copy.
Okay, P bass. And, all natural wood?
It was all natural.
Natural wood P bass.
And so I played that for a while, and then I traded that in on a, it was a Rickenbacker copy, an Ibanez Rickenbacker copy.
I didn't know Ibanez made a Ricky copy.
Yeah, they made. In fact, they had. They were getting sued because they were making such great copies of guitars. You know, they made Les Pauls and Rickenbacker
did.
Ibanez did.
I mean, Ibanez. I didn't know that.
The lawsuit. Yeah. So that was what they call. If you ever see Japanese import lawsuit copy, whatever on eBay. Right. Yeah, they're
they
all
got to
these
put that on the label.
Yeah.
That's
so, anyways, they stopped making them that way. But this bass was just like a Rickenbacker, stereo, pickups, and same exact neck, and
yeah. So they really copied them.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I played that for a while, and then I had a 65 jazz bass, which I kick myself now for selling because it would probably be worth $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow! Yeah.
And I traded that in on a Japanese BC Rich, like a low end BC Rich.
Oh yeah, I used to
love
the
then BC Rich. This is all like in a time frame of about a year. I'm trying to find the right bass for me, and then I ended up getting a brand new Music Man Stingray. 78 Stingray, which was they were fairly new. They came out in 76.
Yeah, so, 70s Music Man. I remember them.
So, anyways, that's the bass I still play to this day, and I've had it all these years. And it was my first Stryper bass. I put yellow and black tape on it and made it look like it was a custom paint job.
That's when Stryper. So when did 83, right? Stryper.
Yeah.
83. Would that be your biggest rock band you've been in?
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, as far as, playing out, touring live.
Playing out and touring, I mean, I did it for 34 years. So
34 years, wow.
Yeah.
It's just, I remember when you got in Stryper. And I had met you as White Lace, but we didn't talk much. I didn't see you for a long time.
That's because we were in rival bands.
I was in Danger. I was in Danger,
right.
Lead singer.
I remember.
I was lead singer and keyboard player for Danger, and you guys, when No Stranger came about, your name wasn't mentioned. It was kind of a secret. We all got together in secret.
Yeah.
I was still singing for Danger. Billy Green was in Grizzly.
Right.
Joe and Tom were trying to put this thing together to back up an album that was being played in Europe.
Yeah.
I guess it was top 10 on the radio. Remember that story? And
I don't remember the story, but
well, that was the story I got. So he says, "Hey man, we're going to throw this project together. We want to get everybody together. We're going to learn all these songs." And Joe grilled me on guitar for months. I learned to play the guitar really good.
Yeah.
So I could accompany the album. And then Tom says, "Hey guys, Tim Gaines from Stryper might come over and play." And I went, "Oh, okay, that would be really cool."
Yeah.
I'll bring Tim into the band. We got Tim from Stryper, Dean from Danger, Joe from Grizzly, Tom from Stormer, and Joe Reggiatori, who was in Feather Stitch, right? He had a little history.
Yep.
And it was like the all-star band.
Yeah.
All-star rock band. And now we're bringing Tim Gaines in, man.
All the LA bands, the good bands from the 70s and 80s. So
pretty much. That's when Van Halen was playing, a lot.
Yeah. Hey, do you got a gate or anything on your mic? Because you're cutting in and out like it's gating.
Testing 1 2. How about now?
Yeah, you're in there. It's just there's like a gate or a noise filter or something that.
Let me see here.
Seems to cut you off a little bit, but.
How about now? 1 2 3 4. Testing.
I hear you.
I think I need a cold beer or a cup of coffee or something. I've been messing with these computers. You showed up on this computer. I'm looking at you, and you got this symbol, and I'm going, "Oh man, I can't talk to him." Because I bought this new camera last night, because the integrated cam on the laptop isn't all that. So I picked up a 1080p camera from Logitech, and it's so much brighter.
It looks good. Yeah, I'm using the laptop, my MacBook camera,
and it looks perfect. It looks like you're using a high. Yeah.
I got some lights that I put I got a desk lamp here that kind of gives ambient light. I got some white lights in front of me, and then I've got an overhead that gets my.
I'm getting the natural.
My bald, greasy hair.
Dude, I'm glad you kept your hair long, man. You had it short for a while, and I can't remember what year that was, but I got to be honest with you, man. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I cut it. Gosh, the first time I can't remember, but I cut it short. I had it short in sometime around 2000, 2001, 2, somewhere in there. And then I let it grow out, and then I cut it again in 2015. And that was the last time I cut it. And so it's been growing ever since. It's probably longer than can't see it because it's cutting out in the picture, but it's probably longer now than it's been since I was in Stormer back in.
You have like red. I see it's a red tone. Is that your natural color?
This is all natural.
You're not like gray and you didn't dye it?
No, I'm definitely gray. This is
what's this fuzz, right? If anything, I've gained a little weight. I eat really good now.
Yeah.
No, but I would love to be back on tour because that's when I lost all my weight. And
I was always healthier when I was on the road. I ate well.
Right.
I ate good. Good food, and kept a watch on what I was eating, and at home now it's like I've lost weight. I can't keep weight on. I've got like a metabolism that just.
Well, you're always active too, right? I mean, you're always doing something.
Not so much. The last 5 years or so, I've been just sitting at home doing nothing. So.
and I'm just laughing because I didn't want to go deep into your. I was checking your Wikipedia out, and I go, oh my God, Tim has done a lot of stuff. I am not going to talk about all of that stuff because.
Well, don't believe everything you see on Wikipedia.
And you're right.
I didn't write that, so I don't know who, Well, and I haven't even checked it in a long time.
It's not easy to get on Wikipedia, in case you don't know. It's a pretty large task. But you have so much that you've done in the music business. And, a lot of podcasters and guys will go, whoa, I see you did this album in 1979, then 81, then 82, and 83, and you're on tour with so-and-so. And I'm like, I'm going to skip through all that stuff. Yeah,
you're cutting out again, just to let you know.
Oh, testing 1, 2. My voice kind of fades.
Yeah,
I think there might be a gate on the mic. So I'm recording into Pro Tools. That's this. And you're going to come in as a WAV file.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drop that wave. So I'm more concerned about your voice, and it's really clear.
Okay.
Well. But my voice to you is not going to be the recorded voice.
Okay.
Although, because no one's hearing this but me and you right now.
Yeah.
So as long as you can hear me good enough to ask a question. But this is going to go, I'm looking over here at Pro Tools, and it's got a good signal. But I keep forgetting I'm recording. So I've got to stay on the mic. So remind me once in a while.
Okay. All right, dude.
So real quick, are you still talking to Stryper? Are you going to get back with those guys? Are you done with the Stryper project?
Yeah, no, it's done. It's over. I have not talked to anybody in that band since 2016, maybe 17, wow. 2017. I mean, I played my last show with them. I played my last show February of 2017. So
17, and then you got an Aldo Nova around that time?
No, I put a band together. Or we were trying to put a band together with some guys here in town in Phoenix.
Okay.
Just doing. We were going to do like a metal cover band. Tribute band, and try to do casinos and things like that, and that just kind of fell by the wayside. And then I just started getting back into recording, and so I was starting to do albums with different people. Band called Faith's Edge, did a couple albums with them. Did of Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters, you recorded that album.
Yeah. Sorry?
Did you record an album with them?
Yeah, we did. We did an album, released that, did some shows, and we traveled a little bit, but it was right before COVID hit. So of course, when that happened, everything just kind of stopped, and so it's been a good 2 years since I've actually gone out and played anywhere. And,
but you've done some amazing stuff on the bass. Not mentioning No Stranger, but you went on to play with Richard Marx.
Right.
One of my favorite artists, by the way, Richard Marx.
Yeah, great writer, great singer, musician, and so I went out with him for maybe just a couple of months in 2007. And
I think I talked to you right before that, and I don't know if it was on the phone or we chatted or whatever it was, but I remember you saying something like you had to learn a bunch of songs really fast and go on.
Yeah, I got a call
Reno somewhere.
I got a call from his music director, and I think I had like a week or so to learn some songs. And
now, were you a Richard Marx fan prior to that? Did you already know his tunes?
Yeah, well, I had met him in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
At some music convention, and so that was I had I think I had his first album, and that was about it. So I had to go back and relearn a bunch of songs,
right?
And I not only relearn, but I'm a 4-string bass player, and
right.
They wanted to have a 5-string bass, so I went out and got a brand new 5-string, and it kind of messed me up because you're used to going for that low E string, but you're actually hitting the low B, and so you're the workings of the 5 versus the 4. But anyways, so there was pressure there, but it was a fun time, fun experience, and
cool. So
another segment in my life, that.
Now, are you still married? You're still married now?
I am married.
Okay,
Brandy, I am
right?
married. My wife's Brandy, and we just celebrated our 5th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
They said it couldn't be done, but we've been married 5 years. In fact, today's the 28th. We met 6 years ago today on June 28th in Kansas City, Missouri.
That's awesome.
So anyways.
Kansas City, what were you doing in Kansas City?
We moved out here. We were playing.
Oh, you were playing out there.
some biker bar, some dive bar out in Kansas City. And it was kind of a nightmare of a show. We were going to pack up and leave, but the bus had broken down.
Well, there you go.
The bus, so we were kind of stranded in this.
That might have been planned. They wanted you for another night.
Yeah. Well,
somebody went out there and cut the gas lines.
The bus, not the axle, what do you call it? I can't think right now. The bus had broken down, so the driver had been underneath the bus all day long trying to fix this bus, and everything just started going really bad pretty quick. The stage, so the bands have a rider. You need that. You sign a contract is basically what the promoter does to provide backline gear or whatever, and you have PA system that can handle so many watts of power and lights and all that stuff. So anyways,
and red M&Ms in the back.
Red and green, and so we had gotten there, and there was like the PA system was just garbage, and was falling apart and wasn't what we had asked for. The backline gear was not there, so it was like we contractually we would be in the right to
cancel the gig.
To cancel.
Sure.
but we couldn't because
the bus broke down.
The bus broke down. So we were there, and there was like, it was just one of these bad places. I mean, people had guns. And it was like they're running prostitutes out of the front, and it was in a bad location.
Yeah, yeah.
And
not your typical hangout.
They were threatening guys on our crew, and just it was just a bad scene. So, anyways, I'm hanging out on the bus because there was nowhere else to go, and this car pulls up, and the fans are starting to show up for the gig.
Right.
And this car pulls up, and this beautiful blonde girl gets out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like my heart stopped, and I'm like, who is that?
And that was Brandy.
And that was Brandy. And so
nice.
A few months went by, and it was just like we started talking, and just it ended up we ended up getting together, and so we got married, and
that's awesome.
Starting a new life together.
Beautiful girl. And when I saw your picture together, you guys were like you've been married for 20 years. I go, wow, 20? They're really in love. Those two.
You guys are married for 20 years?
No, I thought you were.
Oh no,
by
I've
looking
been
at your
picture.
So Lois and I have been together for 15 years.
Wow.
We're not married. Living in sin.
Oh no, dude, you got to fix that.
I know. And we're both music. She's an actress. She's been in many movies and commercials in Australia. She was in The Punisher,
Awesome.
with Dolph Lundgren when he was in there. And she was with Christopher Atkins. Remember Christopher in Blue Lagoon? She was in a movie in Australia called Exchange Lifeguards. You can find it on the web. It's on, what's the name of that channel? Anyway, Hulu.
Yeah.
And so Lois, if you Google Lois Larimore, man, she's all over the place. Yeah, she's done a lot of acting. So we met.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was in Hollywood, and I was living in Covina, and I had opened up a computer store. I went through like a 10-year kind of sabbatical.
Yeah.
I kind of said, music, man. I just bashed my head in music for so many years.
You're cutting out again, just to let you know.
Huh?
You're cutting out again.
Gotcha. So for like 40 years, I've been playing music a long time, and I still am.
Yeah.
I wrote a song a few weeks ago. And I really love the fact that we can express ourselves on social media. You can write a song today and have it published tomorrow, or millions of people could hear it tomorrow. Do you remember back in the day when we record, we had to go in the studio for 6 months to a year. It took us a while to get a CD. It took another year to get it heard by the A&R reps or the record companies.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Now we click a button and everyone hears us immediately. It's just amazing, It's amazing what we can do in the music industry. And someone like you, who have you have your studio at home and you're playing with other, that wouldn't have been possible back when we were playing in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I mean, back then we had a little cassette 4-tracks and, big demo tapes and
Tascam 4-track.
Yeah, the little Tascam 4-track and.
Me and my guitar player Bruce Powler, I just did an interview with him, and we were cracking up the other day because we recorded a bunch of songs in his bedroom, and Lois heard the tape and goes, "I'm going to turn these into ringtones." And they're like Party Animal. I had this song called Party Animal.
Yeah.
And me and Bruce were cracked because we never intended anyone to hear that song. It's like you're in there playing around.
Sure.
We're clicking bottles together like we're at a party. Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, yeah.
And so Bruce was laughing. He goes, she turned it into a ringtone, and it was the top played ringtone on Zedge.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Party Animal.
Excellent.
And she took all my songs and took a clip of them and made them ringtones.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know she did that. But so we were talking about his 4-track, how we were bouncing the tracks down. We do 4 tracks and then 4 more tracks and then 4 more tracks,
Yeah. I just did a song for a guy who's doing that. He's recording that same type of it's digital, I guess, but he's only got like 4 tracks or maybe 8. And
right.
I did some recording for this guy, and he's all, well, can you send it back to me with the bass and the drums, because I gotta bounce those down and then record my guitars over that, and I'm
right.
like, wow, that's how we did it back in the old days.
That's how we got 16 tracks recorded, right? And by the time you're done, the tape is like this thin. You can't fit much more on it.
It's
and
like
the quality starts to.
You couldn't hear the drums anymore. They were just like little thud in the background.
Yeah, that brings back memories, man.
Yeah.
When did you record your first, what I would call your first song that you put out there? What year would that be, and what band was it?
It would have been 79, I think, and that would have been with Afton Kid.
Afton Kid, okay.
We went in and did a 3-song demo, and it was an 8-track studio.
Yeah.
Reel to reel.
Nice.
And
probably a T-Act task.
I can't remember, but
Sony.
Yeah, it was 79. It was a reel to reel. We did a 3-song demo. We did it in Pasadena, and that was it. I still got the demo on cassette.
Oh, that'd be cool to hear one time.
It's funny. Yeah, if I could find it.
Send me a copy of one of those, and I'll put it in the podcast.
Yeah, I think I have it. I think I recorded them or dumped them into my hard drive. I'll have to check on my other computer and see what I got.
That'd be cool to play some of the first material you've done, if you're not afraid to throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write the songs, but
it's your bass playing,
But yeah, I'm playing bass, and it was me. Who was singing? Oh, Sergio was singing. A guy named Sergio Cardenas was singing.
Okay.
Me on bass. Tom Matranga played guitar. Earl Jess played guitar, and Michael Guido was playing drums. And
Guido, Guido was a good friend of yours, right?
Yeah, Guido was the reason why I ended up becoming a Christian.
Ah, okay.
So
that's the story I heard.
So Guido was like, he was kind of a bad character, bad apple.
Right.
Partier, into drugs, and he liked to chase women, and
like we all did at the time.
Yeah, so he happened to be chasing this girl who got him to go to church. And he became a Christian. Now,
she must have been pretty hot for him to follow her to church, right?
I guess so. So she got him to go to church, which is Calvary Chapel out in West Covina.
I remember that church. You were a big role model there.
Yeah, so that's where I ended up going. His life changed so radically that I was like, well, yeah, that's like, I guess I will check it out also, because I mean the guy had showed up to my house. I thought I was going to owe him a lot of money for coke. and he shows up to my house.
You a lot of blow.
I'm thinking like, oh great, I've been putting him off for all these months because I owe him money. And he shows up at my house, and he's got this big smile and this glow on his face where I've never seen anybody have. He used to be like, if it was a smile or a laugh or something funny, it was always something dirty. Something perverted, and all of a sudden he
was up to something, right?
So it's like this time he had this different aura about him. He was different, and he had this smile that was peaceful, and anyways, he invited me to go to this church, which was Calvary Chapel, and so I went. You played
that church, correct? In Stryper, didn't you?
Yeah, so we did some outreach with them early on, but when I went to Calvary Chapel, Pastor Raul Reese was speaking about the end times in the Book of Revelation, and I had never heard anything like that before, and so it just really sparked my interest, and I just, I rededicated my life to Christ. And
what year was that, Tim?
That would have been late 82 or early 83.
Okay, that makes sense, because that's around the time you got in Stryper, 83.
Yeah, so I had left Stormer,
That's right.
Because I was just like, I was a drunk, and I was doing lots of coke and women and the whole thing, and it was like, I can't live this way anymore. I'm like 19 years old, and I'm not gonna live much longer. And so
I missed all the fun. I met Timmy after all that.
You met it, yeah, after all. So
I missed all the fun. So you were playing music before I was, because I got in. It was my 14th birthday. 14th birthday, 1979. I started playing in Aftershock.
Okay.
I was only 14, so you must be a little bit
How old
older
are you?
than me. What am I, 59 now? Holy
Okay,
smokes.
yeah, I'm going to be 60, so we're both the same age.
Okay. So we're right there. You were doing it, though, before I was. You must have already been with Afton Kid.
Yeah, so Afton Kid, and then White Lace.
And I met you in White Lace.
And we were all doing Gazzarris.
Mm-hmm. Remember Control and all the bands.
Control. So do you remember Brand Boulevard?
I was just gonna say Brand Boulevard. Control.
Okay, so Chris Eddy, who was the singer in Brand Boulevard, I think he did stuff with Siegel also. But me and him, we were friends. When I moved to Nashville, we hooked up. He lives in Nashville now, and we just became really good friends, talking about the old days, Gazzarri's days and stuff. And it was like, hey, let's start working together. So
you played? Did you play with Brand Boulevard or just general?
I didn't. No, but in Nashville, Chris Eddy ended up doing. He was on Star Search. He won Star Search.
Oh, did he?
And then he ended up in Nashville. He's got family ties to the music scene, and so. Anyways, when I got out there, we kind of hooked up and we played together a lot. We played on the worship team at our church out there. And, and I was talking to him one day. I'm going, man, I wish I had the time, because I was working heavy. I was working warehouse stuff out there, and I'm going, man, it would be great to be able to put out a solo album or something, just to get something out there, because I wasn't in Stryper anymore. I had left Stryper in 2004 for about 5 years, and so just trying to get back into music and playing and stuff like that. So he ended up writing the whole album in about a week. He's all, hey,
holy smokes,
I got a song for you, check this out. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then next thing you know, he's got another song, and it's like, well, let's go record it. So we between the two of us, and then he hired several studio musicians, like keyboard players and horn players and stuff, string players to add stuff onto the album. But we recorded that in his garage using Cubase, an old
I remember Cubase,
an old version of Cubase.
Yeah. I used Cakewalk.
yeah. So
remember Cakewalk?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we recorded that album at his house, in his garage. Microphones were like taped.
Duct tape, electrical
duct tape to the
masking tape.
So, but it sounds great. We got excellent drum sound, and of course the bass tracks, and he did all the guitars. I played all the bass and lead bass, and then he did the drums also, because he's a drummer. And then
back then you just had all analog recording equipment.
Yeah, and so this is like 2008 when we started recording the solo album, and so finished that in 2009, released it, and then I got back into Stryper. But Chris from Brand Boulevard, back in the Gazzarri's days, was the reason why I did a solo album.
So Chris was the guitar player for Brand Boulevard?
And the lead singer.
Singer, okay. Yeah. I didn't really know them too well. I just played a few gigs with them at Gazzarri's.
Yeah.
But really cool guy.
We all did the circling, Mm-hmm. You're either downstairs on the main stage or the side stage or upstairs, so we all did.
Oh, yeah. You remember when they broke it down to one big stage?
No.
So remember when they had the Battle of the Bands at Gazzarri's?
Yeah.
You had the upstairs.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. I think there was a big stage still in the front.
Yeah.
You could have like 6 to 8 bands at one time.
Yeah, I think you
up.
had 3 downstairs and 3 upstairs.
Is that what it was?
And they just rotate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then they have the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
And I remember me and Bill Gazzarri, we became pretty good friends back then. Because, Aftershock became the house band at Gazzarri's.
Yeah.
So every Friday and Saturday night, we'd play. That's when I met White Lace, Brand Boulevard, Control. Yeah. There was a handful of other bands. I just can't think of them right now.
Seagull was another one that was...
Seagull.
They had their picture painted on the side of the...
That's right. That's right. So I used to hang out with Bill Gazzarri quite a bit because I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get rid of Gazzarri's at one time. He wanted to sell it. This was early on because I'm tired of this. I go, you can't get rid of Gazzarri's.
Yeah.
You're bringing all these new bands up, and they're coming because of you, Bill. You can't walk away. And he had a partner. Remember, Bill had a partner.
Yeah, there was, and then there was the other guys, Stan and Russell.
Right. Stan, the black dude.
the
Stan,
bouncer and
little Chinese guy.
Yeah.
and Stan was the black guy, right?
Right.
The big tall guy.
He was the doorman kind of bouncer guy, and
he was a cool dude, man.
Yeah.
Stan was really cool. He was real tall.
And Russell had like a disco. Remember the little booth beside when you walked in? It was
That was funny shit right there.
Disco.
Yeah. Fucking Russell, man. He was a great dude. They were so cool. And remember Pete, the bartender?
I don't remember.
Okay. Big tall guy. Red hair. I remember him like it was yesterday. Mustache.
Yeah.
He got me in a lot of trouble at Gazzarri's.
Yeah.
It's a long story. I won't go into it. This is your podcast, not mine. I've already talked about it on the last one.
Oh, okay.
And the bartender would get me in a lot of trouble. Hey, Dean, see that chick at the end of the bar? I'll buy you a round of drinks.
Yeah.
And then, I'd go backstage at Gazzarri's and say, guys, I got a round of drinks. But man, good time. So you played the Roxy too, right? Down there?
Played the Roxy, Whiskey, Troubadour, Starwood.
Starwood.
What else?
That place got shut down, didn't it? Starwood?
Yeah, they shut it down.
Like a drug bust.
Yep.
They boarded it up for a while. I think Motley Crue played there.
I can't remember if they played there or not. I think they did, yeah.
Not the Wood Sound. I'm thinking Wood Sound. The
Wood
Starwood
Sound was arcade. It was Monroe.
That's right, Wood Sound. Remember? Did you ever record there? The Wood Sound.
No.
I did. I recorded a part of the Danger album there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Those were good times, man.
Yeah, that was like a magical time. There was just growing up and learning all this new stuff, and some of it wasn't good probably, but it was the music scene. That's what we did back then. And,
well, and I was talking to my nephew one day. I said that's when rock and roll was good, man. Back in the 80s to 90s.
Yep.
That's when Hollywood was thriving. You could walk down the street and see pretty much anybody and everybody, and hang out and have a great time. And those were the great. And then what is it today? Things that.
Yeah, I mean, it was. There's different people that me and Cece DeVille became good friends just hanging out on Sunset and
Cece,
yeah, Gazzarri, and we were going to put a band together back in the day, and
oh man, that'd have been.
I still have somewhere. I got all my keepsakes and stuff in a box, and I have a little blue flyer that I had written down different people's names. Cece, his name's Bruce, and I remember having his name Bruce and guitar player and his phone number, and then I think he came out to LA with a guy named Steve who was a drummer, or at least I can't remember all the details because it's been so long, but anyways, it was like we were all friends back then, and it was good times. And of course things changed in the 80s, and when the hair bands, everything just took off. Everybody had the big hair and then the makeup, and everything was kind of formulated. Everybody played the same kind of music, and
Well, we went from like the hair band to the glam.
Right.
You know, we had the big hair, and then I threw a scarf on, so I was considered a glam band, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Poison came about. You know, Poison opened up for Danger in a little bar in Azusa.
Yeah.
Little Mexican bar. I can't remember the name of it. It was just down the road from the motorcycle place.
Oh, on Alasta.
Birds. It was on Alasta.
That
and
was
it was a little Mexican cantina. And Poison opened up.
Stan, the guy that owned the place is Stan. We were.
Yeah. I think his name was Stan.
Yeah. What was the name of that?
What was the name of that place? Torito something, I don't know. El Cantina, maybe the El Cantina. And Poison, Brett came into my dressing room and said, we just came out here. We're looking for some gigs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, shit, dude, just, go play. You're not going to make a ton of money, but go play your butt off.
Yeah.
And he did. And Poison soon made it after that.
They opened up for us at the country club out in Reseda.
Okay.
And that night, Brett fell off the stage and broke his ribs.
Was he sober?
I don't know. That was.
He was kind of wiry though. He would jump all over the place. That guy was nuts, man. Yeah. Brett was a cool dude.
But there was all kinds of stuff like that. Guys coming out, But for the bulk of the musicians, we're all LA guys. I mean, most of us grew up in LA, and we made the scene. And then everybody else started coming in from the East Coast.
Yeah, Nikki Sixx had to come down and ruin it for all of us, right? Came down and picked up Tommy, my good friend Tommy. He said, "Come on, Tom, let's go start a band."
Yeah.
Yeah, but LA was the scene, man. Sammy Hagar's from out there.
Yeah.
Van Halen. All the great players. Great White did a lot of shows with Great White. Yeah. Did you play with Great White?
Yeah, we've done a lot of shows together. I almost joined Great White.
That would have been a nice fit.
Or at least I auditioned for him. I never made it, but this would have been after post Stryper, so probably around the same time that we were playing together. Yeah.
So you were in No Stranger for what was it, about 3 years, was it? Or 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it seemed like a long time. And do you remember us playing it over at the Treehouse?
Yeah.
That was a cool gig, man.
Yeah. We were on it, man. I remember that was probably the time in my life when I was like the most on as a bass player.
You were on it for sure. I mean, you were kicking some ass.
I had been held down in my previous band, and when I got into No Stranger, it was like the perfect group of people, and I was able to just play. And
well, you had a relationship with Tom, so you already knew.
Right. But I mean, it was just the right kind of music, and it was like everything just like gelled in that band. And we all
great band.
It was a great time. We had a lot of fun, and
we did.
We made some great music, some great recordings, and we played some great shows. And
I'm so thankful that Stryper fell apart and you came over.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen at a better time, right?
Yeah.
When Tom said you were coming in the band, huh?
Me and Bill went on and did some. We tried to throw together a rhythm section to
Billy
go out
Green?
and record. Billy Green, yeah. And
God rest his soul, right?
Yeah. But we called ourselves the Gain Green. Gain Green.
I don't remember that.
Section.
I remember when we broke apart, but I don't remember you hanging out with Bill.
Yeah.
So you went off and did something with Billy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He moved into my house for a little bit too.
Okay. Wow.
I think everybody lived at my house at one point, but
yeah, kind of a flop house. I thought about sleeping on your couch.
Yeah.
Remember you showing me all those videos from Japan when you got toured Japan?
Mm-hmm.
And man, you were just showing me all these videos. I go, holy crap! You guys were like on top of the world when you were playing out there.
Yeah, that whole period, I don't know, it seemed like from 86 through 89, maybe 90. It just...
What was your best experience out there in Japan? I'm just curious. Like,
playing the Budokan, I think.
Budokan?
Yeah. just, something that we all, for us, our age group growing up,
Right.
it was like, we always heard about playing Budokan and Cheap Trick, live at Budokan.
Right.
It's like
Peter Frampton, I think.
Yeah. So, when I finally got there, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be, but, it's like one of those, it's like playing the whiskey, I finally
Really?
played the
Was it
whiskey.
that small?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's, for growing up in Hollywood, it was like, once we play the Starwood or we play the whiskey, so then we've made it. Now it's like, the next level would be playing Budokan.
Gotcha. That must have been awesome, though. You showed me the video. I mean, people were going crazy over you guys, Stryper.
Yep.
Stryper at the time. And I heard a story from, Chris Holmes from Wasp. Do you remember the band Wasp?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So my guitar player, Danny Barry, who was the lead guitar player for Danger, was the roadie or the guitar tech for Chris Holmes.
Okay.
And he told me a story. The reason I'm linking this to Japan. He said he got off the plane. Now, if you remember, Wasp is like 8 feet tall. Every one of those guys. Blackie Lawless.
Yeah.
Now, you're pretty tall, right? What are you, 6 foot? Yeah. So they get off the plane in Japan, and there's, they're like the tallest, and people had bobbleheads. They had little bobbleheads of the band as they get off the plane.
Okay.
And did they have any dolls of Stryper when you got out there?
They did.
A lot of merchandise?
We had, well, it wasn't merchandise. It's just, that's what they made those for, the fans made those, and it was like.
They made them.
They made them. They're all handmade, and they give them to the bands for, as a gift. And it's like, it's like the same thing for us. It was the first time we went there. I didn't know what to expect. We were still playing clubs and stuff in LA.
Right.
And we went to Japan. We played the day before we went to Japan. We flew up to Ontario and played Kitchener, Ontario, Canada, and played a festival. And then from there we flew to Tokyo. So we're all like just dead tired, jet lag. I didn't know what to expect. Going through the airport, you go through customs, and I had no idea what was on the other side of this big steel door. As I opened the door, it was like 1,000 people in the airport, mostly girls, but it was like the Beatles coming to America back in. You
guys were huge.
It was
huge.
Like I was the first one. I had no idea what to expect, like I said, but I opened this door, I got my bags. Once you go through customs, you go through this big steel door, and then it was like you're out in the regular airport. And I opened this door, and it was like scream. The second I walked through this door, people just started screaming. And
felt like the Beatles, probably just like the Beatles. Right?
Yeah, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm playing in clubs in LA, and it's like I get off the plane and I go through these doors, and now it's like rock stars kind of status.
It's funny how you leave the U.S. and people really appreciate you in other countries, right?
So we're
so spoiled out here. We got the best music.
Yeah.
And you go out to somewhere else and they're like, oh my God, they love American music.
So this was in '85, and we were still recording. We were in the middle of recording "Soldiers Under Command," which was our second album.
Right.
And so that wasn't even finished yet. But we had done the first album, which was an EP, and there was a Japanese, I think it was a DJ, something to do in the entertainment industry in Japan, and he was flying back to Japan. He was in LA, and he happened to have a copy of BAM magazine.
I remember BAM.
And it was one of these issues.
Spent a lot of money with BAM.
Yeah. And we had taken out this huge ad in the middle, like a double-page ad, promoting our own shows, and it had our picture with our big hair and everything, and the yellow and black stripes. And he was so impressed by the look of it, had not even heard our music, but he was like instrumental in bringing us over. And that was like the first time we went to Japan. That was also, I think, Motley Crue's first time in '85.
Oh, was it? So you guys were there about the same time?
Yeah. So we were there.
That's right.
We were the Christian band brought over. Motley Crue was brought over by another rival promoter. And then Joan Jett. We're all staying in the same vicinity, us and Joan Jett.
So you guys were there at the same time?
Yeah. So I get in the hotel. Okay. I get in the elevator of the hotel to go down to the lobby, and the door opens, and I step in, and there's this girl, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, who is this? I know who this is. It's like she's
a little older than you, though,
she's
right?
very familiar, and I'm like, she reaches out her hand, and we have the same agent, and so it was Joan Jett.
Joan Jett.
But I'm
Runaways. From the
like,
Runaways.
Are you serious? Yeah. So it was like she was brought over by another promoter. So there's 3 promoters that are all rivals, and we're all
and they all brought you guys at the same time. That's
we're
crazy.
all playing the same weekend. Us and Joan Jett played the same night, and then they came over after we went and saw their show, and then afterwards they came and saw our show. And Motley was there, but we were all like hanging out there's this shopping area in Tokyo called the Ginza. And it's like we're all the electronics and all the cool toys, and so it's like I bought my very first CD player before they were even out here in the States, and so it's just cool stuff. And
well, you're kind of a tech geek a little bit. You're into electronic. You're into all the latest technology.
I like all that stuff.
Yeah, and I know you also are a ham radio operator.
Yeah.
And I was kind of interested in that because I bought myself a little handheld. I never did get my ham license, but I'm intrigued, and I never did learn how to use.
You should do it. It's easy.
So you've been doing it a long time, right?
Yeah, I've been a ham since 1990, 91. See, I took my test in 1990, and I had to wait. So this was way before the internet. And now it's like you take your test and you find out right away if you passed or not.
And are you licensed forever, or do you have to renew it?
You renew it every 10 years.
Every 10 years, okay.
But I started off at the very bottom, what they call a novice class, and I had to learn Morse code and
yeah, I remember. Now, do they still make you learn Morse code? I heard they dropped it.
That dropped it, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody uses it anymore. There's a few guys that use it. I still play with it. But everything's actually gone digital now. They have digital modes where you don't even you have like a little modem thing, and plug it into your computer, and you plug the other end into your radio, and you press a button on your laptop or whatever, and it does all the work for you. You don't have to.
Well, how do you talk to another across the world? Is it skipping through satellites? How does that work?
It works. Well, there's different ways you can do it. Yeah, satellite is one. You have like your little handheld you're talking about,
right?
Can work a satellite, and then the satellite bounces a signal, like repeats the signal to another place across the United States or across the world or whatever. But
what's the furthest? What's the furthest you've talked on your ham?
I talk all over, like into Africa.
You still do today?
Europe,
you still do?
Into Europe, Asia. So it depends on the time of the day, and I don't use satellites. Everything that I do is the sunspot cycle. So there's a solar cycle, and as we get more sunspots every 11 years, the solar cycle gets to a peak where it charges the ionosphere.
Our
Earth. And when the ionosphere is charged, radio signals go up, and then they bounce back down.
That's crazy.
So
I never heard that before.
On the lower frequencies, HF frequencies, you can talk like even on a CB radio right now, which is, we're starting to get into the solar season where guys on CB radio are talking to guys across they're talking to people in Australia from here in California or Arizona or Hawaii or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, on HF, on ham radio, I'm talking to guys in Africa at night. I can talk to Japan at night. Daytime.
That is so cool.
Daytime contacts, pretty much South America, North America. Early in the morning, you talk to guys in Europe. Late at night, you can talk to guys in Europe. So it's kind of, it depends on the solar activity. And
I had no idea that's how you skip. I mean, they used to have skip land or skip. You'd skip.
Yeah.
And that's what it's doing with the solar spots or the sun spots?
So basically your signal goes out of the antenna, and as it goes up, it hits.
That is fascinating.
Like your background right now. It hits the little blue line.
Well, I put that up for you.
If you look at the blue line that's on your screen right now, that's around the light blue around the Earth.
There it is, the blue line right there.
That's where the ionosphere is.
The sun's right on the other side.
Yeah, and so your signal goes up, bounces off of that, and then comes back down somewhere else. Sometimes it hops several times. It'll hit the ocean and go back up again.
Okay. All right. So the signal doesn't hit a satellite; it just skips.
Right.
It's skipping.
That's on HF. And then there's other types, like with your little handheld radio, where you talk to a satellite. Your signal will go up. You have a directional antenna that's pointed. They have computer software that tracks satellites.
Right.
And you can get your antenna hooked up to your tracking software, so it actually moves as the satellite's traveling. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
Around the world, and so you have this little window of a few minutes to hit that particular satellite. Right. And you can do it with a handheld with just a couple of watts, and it'll go up.
Wow.
Talk to somebody, it repeats your signal, and there's somebody else like on the East Coast trying to do the same thing, and you talk to each other.
And then you get like their address, you become like pen pals, or if you connect with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. We have what we call QSL cards, which is a little postcard you send to the guy you talk to afterwards, if you want. Most people do it online now, but back in the old days, it was like put a stamp on a little card and drop it in the mail. And I've got thousands of them.
Did you make a lot of friends?
I got a shoebox filled with cards from all over the world.
And do you stay in touch with them? The people?
Some guys I'm friends with that I've been friends with for 30, 40 years on radio.
The reason I was a CB'er,
Yeah.
I was crazy. I was the Tijuana trucker.
I was originally I was Hudson, because I started off in like 74 when it was CB craze, and I was a kid.
Right.
And so my dad got a license and CB license for me. He didn't know anything that was going on with it. It was just like, I want to be on a CB because my friends are. And so
I actually got a license too.
Yeah. So I started off in 74 with, first thing I got was a little walkie-talkie, 100 milliwatt walkie-talkie. I couldn't talk, 3 houses away with the thing.
Right.
And then
like 4 watts, 2 watts.
Yeah, and then my friends were on CB when I was in junior high school. I was still in elementary school. So I was in elementary school, and I had a friend who got me into CB radio. And that's actually how I kind of got into music, because I was telling you about these guys that I used to go to their house, and their brothers were in bands. So it was actually, that started from CB radio, with me going to my friend's house to smoke pot and watch their brothers' bands,
Yeah.
But I'm still friends with all those guys. A lot of those guys.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
Since the 70s, early 70s. I've got friends that I talk to all the time that are still on radio that live on the East Coast that we've been friends with for a good 40 years. And
how many? No, I'm just one more technical question. How many watts are you pushing out of your ham?
I can run 1500 legally.
Wow.
I normally push. I probably run about 100 watts most of the time, or less.
Okay. And that's legal to go up to what, 1500 watts?
Yeah, I've got amplifiers. I got a couple of amplifiers that I can run kind of a mid power, which is about 600 watts.
Wow.
Which is more than enough to get anywhere. And usually
the reason I remember CB radios.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We were limited. Remember on CB radios, I had a 300 watt. I had a 300 watt Palomar bilinear. Remember Palomar?
And nowadays FCC is not even doing anything with them. Everybody's running everybody's running at least 100 watts on CB radio. And I've gotten back
stepping
into
on each
CB
other.
radio.
Nobody could talk.
Yeah.
They used to go
It's
cut
fun.
their. Remember, they used to cut the coaxial
Cut your
cable.
coax. Put a pin. Somebody put a pin in it so they wouldn't know. They just.
No, I was like in a little gang. We'd go around, drive around in the truck, and find the guy who was queuing up his music, and he was like running 100 watts. Nobody could talk.
Yep.
Because he just keyed up his music. And he says he went to bed. Like, this guy's playing Led Zeppelin all night, man.
Yeah, that was the fun stuff. Oh, dude, we'd have a blast. I got back into CB radio a couple of years ago. No, maybe longer than that, but I've kind of put my ham radio on hold. I've got it all set up, and I got in my back room. I've got a little station set up, and I've got ham radio on one side of the room, and I got CB on the other. And I'm having more fun with CB because it's becoming that skip season again, and you're guys in Florida and Hawaii every day, and
that's right. You could talk pretty far during skip season, right?
Yeah.
On the CB radio. I talked to somebody in Maine.
Yeah.
For like 10 seconds, I heard them. They came in. I go, Maine, and they're yelling out their call number, and I was trying to write it down, and I go, oh man, I talked to somebody in Maine, man.
Dude, it's fun. I have a blast. It keeps me out of trouble. Actually, I probably get into trouble, but otherwise I'd be out somewhere. CB radio and ham radio. They keep me.
Well, I remember my parents would scold me. They'd say, "Go to your room.
Yeah.
You can't come out for 2 days."
Yeah.
Okay. I had my lollipop microphone, my D40.
Yeah. D104. Yeah.
I had my D104. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And I could whisper across the room. Hey, this is Dean. This is Tijuana Trucker.
Dude, it's still the same. You have a ball getting back into it. And I don't even own a 40 channel CB. I've got 23 channel radios from like back in the day.
Base station or mobile?
Both.
Just a base?
And I got stacks of radios that I just let's try this one out, and I just plug it in for the day and try another one. You'd have a blast.
Well, I wanted to bring it up because I know you love technology. You love ham radio and CB. And I just wanted to hear from you.
You'd have a blast. You throw an antenna on your roof and CB.
So can I get a hold of you on the ham if I fire that thing up?
Yeah, you and I. Where are you? You're Vegas, Las Vegas.
I'm in Vegas.
So I hear like what they call short skip.
Okay.
Or sporadic E skip. So it bounces off the E layer and comes back down.
Okay. And what about CB radio? Can I reach you on that?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. CB. We'd probably be able to talk at some point.
Oh, that's cool, man. I might get back into it. Throw a what do they call them? The big antenna on the roof.
Yeah, you don't even need a big antenna if you
don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, fun, man. So out of Stryper, let's get back to music. Out of Stryper, what have you been doing? Okay, Aldo Nova, just give me a run through. I'm not going to grill you on what have you done, but kind of give me a little synopsis on where are you at and where are you going?
Yeah, so I think since COVID, I did Aldo, and then because of COVID, everything just kind of like slowed down, and then it just started getting me thinking. Taking care of family still. My dad's 92, and I just couldn't be out on the roads. Like if I went to Canada, they'd want me to quarantine for two weeks, roughly 2 weeks, and I couldn't be gone that long just to do like a weekend worth of work. So I went back and forth for a while, just trying to figure out, if I should continue on or what. And so I finally decided I'm going to just stay home, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And I told Aldo and said, "I'm sorry, dude. I just, I got to stay home. I got to take care of my family." And so that's pretty much where it's been at the last 2 years now. I've been just any music that I do has been just recording bass tracks. But what I've really since COVID, it's gotten me thinking about my future and just everything that's going on in the world and where we're at. And so I started off with Stryper as wanting to be into ministry and to tell people about the Lord. And
Awesome.
that kind of took a back seat, the ministry portion of it, and we became rock stars, and
Right.
the message and everything just kind of fizzled out. So I've been
Getting kind of back to your roots a little
I'm
bit.
getting back to my roots. I'm getting back into ministry.
Christian,
There's
yeah.
some opportunities coming up where I may be on staff at a church.
Oh, nice. So like a preacher? Or would you be
so I'm thinking of, I've got a ministry that I started. I accepted Christ when I was 9 years old, so it's been 50 years.
Wow.
So I started this ministry called Grace 50 Ministry, and it's really just about God's grace in my life, because it hasn't been all a bed of roses. It's been up and down, valleys, divorce,
I got you, man.
Addiction, alcoholism. We need
to get back to that as a world.
Yeah, well, the world,
pulling God out of church and things like that, just not a good idea.
There's a lot of stuff coming down.
Pulling God out of schools.
There's prophecy in the Bible that talks about, the Lord's returning for his church. He's coming back to judge the world also. And there's going to be a period of time, what they call the 7-year tribulation, where the church is going to be removed, and the church being the Christians, true believers in Christ, will be removed from the world, and then all hell's going to break loose, because the Holy Spirit lives within the believer. That's what we believe. We're believers in Christ. The Holy Spirit, when you accept Christ, comes in, fills your life, and helps you. That's why they call him the helper. At any rate, the Holy Spirit is the restrainer. He restrains evil, and when the Christians are taken out, the Holy Spirit his hand will be removed in that sense from the world. All hell's going to break loose. I mean, we're just starting to see tastes of it.
Lois talks about that almost every day.
They have what's coming called the New World Order. They've been talking about it, Agenda 2030. They have all these plans. Everything's in place. And you'll own nothing and be happy. That's their motto, and it's like there's a one world communist government coming, and it's also going to be a one world religion that's going to be attached to it, a false religion. And the book of Revelation, by the time you get to chapter 9 of the book of Revelation, half the planet will be half of the population will be killed off.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's going to be, if it happened right now, roughly 4 billion people.
Wow.
Through plague.
We need more love. We need more love in the world, Tim.
Yeah, we need more people to
accept their Lord,
Christ. I mean, the only way, I mean, people, the stuff that's going on in the world, the killings and, all this infighting, the rioting and everything.
Yeah.
It's a godless society. We took God out. We took God out of our schools.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And then we had the hippie movement come in, and the socialists and Marxist movement, and free love and sex, and so we're having sex, and now we have gonorrheas, and we're getting pregnant, and so we need to abort the mistake and make the baby pay for our mistakes, so now we're killing 60 million babies, and then
oh my gosh.
So there's a curse coming upon America because we've turned our backs on God.
Right. And, exactly. So, I mean, we don't even say a pledge allegiance to the flag in schools anymore.
No.
We've taken God out of the schools.
There's violence, and it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better through politics or trying to change the law or whatever. What we need to get back to is God, and allowing Him to change people's lives and work on people.
Well, you're gonna help that along by getting out there and doing your thing. Whether you do it through music. Ministry.
And, I'm not doing so much music anymore. If I do, if the door opens up to play music or to write, I've written a few songs. I've been thinking of doing another solo album, but it's like,
hey, I'm available.
Yeah, man.
I still play keys, guitar, and sing.
I'm just like, I don't see the time frame that we're rushing towards what I call the end. I don't see enough time to be able for me to get out and do that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, your priorities change, right?
Yeah. And it's like I'm 60 years old. I'm 60 years old. I don't see myself out there headbanging. It's like
right.
The last few years in Stryper, I was like really feeling it. We get up and play, and I couldn't stand. I contracted Lyme disease in 2008, and so
ouch.
I've been my body's been deteriorating because of that.
That's painful. I've had Lyme's before.
Lyme arthritis.
It's painful.
Get like brain fog and just.
My knees locked up. Both of my legs locked up. I couldn't walk.
Yeah. Well,
man, it's tough.
So I'd be on stage and I couldn't even stand up. I'd be like, and the guys would be looking at me like, you're not moving around enough. And I'm like, I'm 55 years old. I don't, I'm not a headbanger anymore. Why do I have to headbang? I'd rather just.
But man, you've done some serious headbanging in your time. I always say I've done enough headbanging to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
So you might be 60, man, but you've done enough headbanging to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And life changes, man, and that's okay. When you change, you just kind of go with what you're feeling at the time, and the world, it needs people like you in it. The whole evil thing and the corruption and the crime and all that.
Yeah.
It's just reached an all-time high.
The homeless population is huge. I mean, I don't know where it's always been pretty bad up there by you, but it's huge down here. Where I live, I go 2 blocks to the south, and it's just like people camped out in the parks. And
oh no, you're in Phoenix,
I'm
right?
in Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad where I'm closer to Henderson.
Yeah.
So I'm not in the city.
Yeah.
I'm close to Lake Mead.
There's a great church right by you called Sunrise Bible Church.
I know exactly where it is. My brother goes there.
Billy Crone's pastor. He's awesome, dude.
Billy Crone's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my brother's pastor.
That's cool. Yeah.
I might go visit him. I know he wants me to go down there and check it out. So
yeah,
I might go down there with him.
He's an old rocker, dude. He played guitar and was like
okay.
ex-drug addict and the whole thing. But he's a great pastor. He's really good.
They have a lot of online stuff too now.
They do.
After COVID, everybody went online with that.
Online, YouTube. So that's really what kind of did it for me. Is like we can't go anywhere. We're stuck here because of COVID. We're locked down in a sense. So we started watching church, and then it was like, wow, all this stuff's happening. I need to get my life together. It's like I'm just like way off base, compared to how I was when I first started off. And
well, you're happily married now. You got a great life. Do you think you're going to stay in Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're here. We've been here. My wife's kids live here, so this is where she grew up. And I can live anywhere. I've lived in LA. I've lived in Nashville. I've lived in.
How was Nashville? I always wanted to catch up with you on Nashville.
I love Nashville. Other than the humidity and the mosquitoes, it's a beautiful place. And I guess that's everybody has gone there. The cost of.
I went up to Tennessee. I was up in Clifton, Tennessee. My friend bought the marina down there.
Yeah.
It's about 4 hours out of Nashville.
Yeah.
And I landed in Nashville and I drove straight to Clifton, Tennessee, so I didn't get to spend any time.
Yeah. I mean, the music scene, there's all kinds of music, obviously country, but there's everything you can think of. It's just all the greatest musicians in the world have moved there, and at the time, property was affordable. Now it's like gone through the roof. The house that I bought out there, I think we paid $186,000 for it. It's like over almost $600,000 right now is what it's worth.
Wow.
It's like, are you serious? It's like California. I mean, it's like
right. Well, I think we're hitting kind of a ceiling right now.
Yeah.
You say it might go back down again. We might hit a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, we're renting a house out here. We've been blessed to have the place we're living in because it's really unaffordable even to rent. I mean, you can't.
Is there a good church down there you found?
There is. There's several. but like I said, we're still there's Calvary chapels, and I always recommend Calvary Chapel.
Right.
There's really just Bible believing churches, Bible teaching churches. There's a lot of good ones that are out there, but I always try to steer people away from denominational, mainstream denominations.
Yeah.
Get into a Bible.
I agree with you 100%. You guys used to play at I remember Calvary being kind of easy to go to. I went with some friends.
Yeah,
I think I saw you play there once.
Calvary, like in the early 70s, the Jesus People's movement and all the hippies, ended up becoming Christians because of Calvary Chapel and because of Chuck Smith and a guy named Lonnie Frisbee, who was a San Francisco hippie who became a Christian and just spoke to the whole generation of kids at the time, in the early 70s. And that's where we got all these great Christian artists and all these people that became Christians at the time. There's like Christian artists like Larry Norman and Randy Stonehill and Second Chapter of Acts, Keith Green, all these influential music groups from the early 70s helped influence what we became.
Right.
The door was open back then for that kind of music to exist. And then when we came on the scene in 83, it was like, well, there's been 10 years of this kind of music already. Now we're going to take it to the next level. And
well, there wasn't much competition, if I remember correctly, when Stryper came about.
No.
I don't remember any other Christian rock bands that did what you were doing.
There were a few out there, but nobody had gotten any kind of success at that point.
Right.
So we were like the ones to kind of open the door, and then from then on everything kind of changed. And there's the 90s, you had all these other bands like POD and Skillet and gosh, why can't I? There's a lot of bands. I can't think of their names right now, but
yeah. And you were considered heavy metal? Would that be a category you?
I guess.
Because every time I see Stryper, it says heavy metal, but I
never thought of us as heavy metal. I thought of us as a good rock band. Sometimes we borderline.
Just a good hard rock band.
We borderline metal. I don't think of Van Halen as metal.
Neither do I, but I think Tower Rock. Remember, Tower Records used to have the heavy metal category.
Yeah,
and I could see Metallica maybe.
Metallica,
at the time.
That's metal. I mean, Stryper wasn't metal, but
yeah, and it was kind of confusing going to a Tower Records back in the '80s. That's when they tried to divide everything up. Like you had progressive jazz, progressive rock, soft rock, medium rock, hard rock, heavy metal, thrash,
grunge.
I mean, it was like 50 categories. I couldn't even find a Rush album.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm looking for a Rush album. What do they put them under? Hard rock?
Are they under rock, progressive?
Yeah, the fusion. It was a fusion rock something.
Or are they in the import section because they're Canadian?
Right. Import. It was just so damn confusing going to buy a record, back in the 80s. And even today, I don't even know what category I fit in. Yeah. They dropped me in an indie pop category. Independent pop, and I like rock and roll. I have some rock and roll stuff.
Yeah.
But lately I've been almost borderline country. I wrote this song called North Shore Through Nevada, and I just released it about 3 weeks ago. And I'm listening to it, go, man, I kind of sound a little bit country right there.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I love country.
I think we just change as.
I was writing country tunes in like the late 80s or late 90s. Who got me turned on to country music was Billy Green.
Billy did.
Yeah.
Billy was an influencer, man.
Yeah.
He lived here. He lived here in Vegas for a while.
Yeah. Well, he got me into country, and then because of his background with it, and then I started writing in that vein, and then we moved to Nashville because of some of the songs that we were writing at the time to kind of just go out there and do that kind of thing. I wrote this song called There Goes My Love with my ex-wife, and it was a country song. and we had won a songwriting contest in L.A. And the judges were Kenny Chesney's writers, two of his writers, and so we won this contest. There Goes My Love. I wrote the hook, and my wife wrote the rest of it. And so
your wife's a songwriter as well?
She was a songwriter, yeah. And so we went to Nashville, and I'm driving the big Ryder truck with all the stuff in the back, and she's behind me, and I'm turning on the country music radio, and there's Kenny Chesney's brand new song called There Goes My Life, which had the same inversion as There Goes My Love. And it was just coincidence that we won the contest and his writers were the judges. But anyways.
Oh, interesting. So I wonder, were they allowed to?
That was my claim to fame as far as writing a hit song in the country.
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney.
We're going to have to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
We'll get him on the podcast show one day.
Get all the royalties, you know.
Man, I've taken a lot of your time. I just wanted to talk to you. You know, I really just wanted to just chat with you. I haven't talked to you in so long.
Yeah, dude.
And
it's good to.
And I don't believe anything I read. You know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I've been Googling you, going, I'm not going to talk about that. That's just ridiculous.
I don't know what, you know. I don't even keep up on that. And all the BS went down 5-6 years ago, and I had death threats. I mean.
Oh no.
Oh, just weird people everywhere, and so I just kind of got away from it all and put it behind me, and I'm happier and in a much better place.
Well, it's your life. It's nobody else's but your life.
Yeah.
And you live it the way you want to live it. You know, and be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
Be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing some reggae. I did some reggae stuff the other day, but I'm like, I can't sing that. I'm looking for a Rastafarian now to sing the song.
Yeah.
But I'm a white guy, you know. I'm writing this freaking Rasta. It sounds great, but I started playing it back. I went, bad boys, what you gonna do? And I'm like,
that's funny.
And my nephew's into, you know, he writes that kind of stuff, you know. I'm like, man. You know, so sometimes I just kind of get a little bit off the rails and I start writing stuff that's a little outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I can write anything. You know, you put me in a recording studio, I can write anything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even stuff I'm like, where did that come from?
I remember you coming up with some great stuff, man.
Oh man, No Stranger was a big challenge for me because you know, you guys were teaching me all these songs. Well, Joe was. And he'd sit down with me on the couch for 3 hours till my fingers were bleeding playing that 12-string guitar.
That 12-string guitar.
Oh
and the keyboards, man. I mean,
and the keys.
You went from being a front man to being a rhythm guitar player and
keyboard player.
And keyboards.
And I was okay with that. You know, a lot of people said, you know, you're a lead singer. What are you doing playing the instruments?
Yeah.
Don't you miss being out front? I go, no, that's Tom's job. That's Tom's lead singer. I was okay with that. But I wanted to sing. I still wanted to sing.
Yeah.
And me and Tom we all got to harmonize.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Tom. Right? Because Joe didn't sing.
We had some of the best harmonies in that band. That was
We did have some killer harmonies.
What's the song? Here I Am Again.
Here I Am Again.
That's
Madeline.
You got to play that if you'd play any of them on the podcast when you.
I'll tell you what. Well, I am going to play some on our podcast.
Yeah.
And I will play Here I Am Again.
Here I Am Again.
Okay, and right now I'm going to play it. Okay, bing, bang, boom. Right? And then I would love to play whatever songs you want me to play on this podcast. I'll sneak them in.
Okay.
You know, throughout the podcast.
Did you get Did you get the morning news song?
I haven't even checked my email yet. Did you send it?
I sent it twice. I sent it yesterday, and then you said this morning that you wanted it again, so I resent it. But
can you send me maybe one or two more that you really want to play on this show?
Yeah, I'll send a couple.
It's up to you. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I'd love to play maybe 2 or 3 of your latest, greatest songs that you wrote or that you're playing bass on.
Okay.
I'm not real interested in playing the old Stryper songs. people can find them anywhere they want.
So I'll send.
But I'd like to.
I'll see if I can find the Afternoon Kid.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find a song off of that too.
Whatever song you want to play, I want to kind of go from the very beginning, kind of in the middle, and then what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna definitely play No Stranger.
Cool.
And Tom will love to hear that.
Yeah.
I just talked to him, but man, it was so good having you on the show today. I think we almost went an hour after working out all the technical problems I had.
It's good to see you. I sent you my phone number. I texted you also. So
okay, cool. Now I want to talk to you.
You were still in my phone, so I had you, but I got a new phone number. So, anyways, you got it now.
Okay, and I'll shoot you mine too, and let's get together. We love doing a couple things.
Yeah.
I got a boat out here at Lake Mead. Love to have you guys come down and take the boat out.
Yeah, dude. It's excellent.
It'll be a lot of fun. But listen, I'm going to wrap it up, and of course, I'm going to be playing a song out when we finish this podcast. And you tell me, what song would be the best to play out. I heard Morning News, and that would be an awesome introduction song.
Yeah, and that's the song I use that I'm using on my podcast. I haven't aired anything yet, but
maybe that's where I heard it. You sure you haven't aired it?
I play it a lot on my Facebook page, but
okay. I heard it somewhere.
When I did the album, I was thinking that it's going to be the song that I do a video for if I do one, and never materialized, of course. But but I always like that song, just for it kind of kicks into gear pretty fast, and it's a good intro song for the video.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Podcast.
Man, it just grooves right from the beginning. It just grooves, man. It's an awesome tune.
Yeah. So, I'm using that. I've got my Grace 50 ministry, which is going to be the main focal point. Then I've got a couple of podcast shows that I'm going to be doing through that, one's going to be the Morning News podcast, which is going to feature that song. And then I'm doing another one, podcast called Taco Tuesdays, which is not taco as in a taco that you eat, but the Greek word taco, Greek is for tachometer, where we get the word tachometer. And like a revving, we're getting ready to red line. So as things progress in the world, we're revving up for Christ's return, and that's going to be Taco Tuesday. So
That'll
basically
be cool,
a news show. We're going to do the latest prophetic news segments and just kind of put everything together. So anyways, we'll
get that thing fired up and get it rolling, Tim.
Yeah.
You're going to be great at it.
Yeah.
And listen, it's great talking to you.
You too, brother. All right.
And let's stay in touch, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to call Tom. We missed Tom today, Tom Hardy.
Yeah, man.
He had to go do something.
I want to talk to Tom too. I haven't talked to him.
I'd love to do another podcast if I could get even Tom and Joe. Maybe we could all three talk. And then you could promote what you got going on as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and also for everyone that's listening to the podcast, that was Timmy Gaines. Timothy Gaines. Is that what you call yourself, Timothy or Timmy?
I go by whatever. Timmy.
All right.
Everybody
the legendary bass
me
player, formerly of Stryper, but we're going to talk about his new stuff now. So be listening for Tim Gaines. Breakfast at Timothy's.
Yeah.
I went on there the other day, and he's got where you can buy his CD on there. There'll be a link at the bottom of this podcast. Go buy that CD and whatever else Timmy's doing now. And I know I will be.
Yeah, do the link for the download, digital downloads, because the physical copies are out of print now. So.
Okay, so the digital download link is what you want.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all that's available. But go on there and get Tim's new stuff. It's really good. And man, he's got some killer bass lines in there going on. So Timmy, have a great life. And keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Good to see you, brother.
Love you, man. Okay. Take care.